make nursing and college related videos. I am a pre-nursing student trying to get into nursing school. And today I wanted to do a video about the ATITs, which is one of the nursing school entrance exams. There's also the hesi, but for my school, I'm required to take the T's. I have been doing some studying off and on and some research, compiling resources over the last 2 years in preparation for the T's. I take my exam in a little less than 3 weeks. And I have had several people ask me, oh, could you make a video, ask me about resources, that kind of thing. So here we are, we're doing a video. So I have a handy dandy sheet of paper here with all of my notes on it just to make sure I don't forget anything. But a little bit about me. Again, I've been studying off and on for 2 years. I'm trying to get into my nursing program. I'll be applying in a few months to hopefully start in fall 2022. I am recently just getting into the medical field. I'm working as a medical assistant currently. And I'm just really excited. I know the T's is so much and it's so overwhelming and it's such an undertaking, especially after going through all of your prerequisites, which is just an amazing feat in itself. So if you've made it this far to take your T's or your hesi, congratulations to you. Don't forget to pat yourself on the back and celebrate a little bit. But anyway, so where do you begin when you're, about to start studying for the T's? So there's a couple of things you can do for that. So first of all, learning what kind of learner you are. For me, I struggled with this quite a bit, especially if you don't have any study habits. I've been out of school for a while and came back to school. So relearning how I learned and what worked best for me was a bit of an experiment there for a while. But there's tons of quizzes online that you can take to see if you're a kinesthetic learner, if you're more auditory, if you're a visual learner, if you learn better by reading, or by just having a conversation. For me, I'm definitely an auditory learner and somewhat of a visual learner, but definitely kinesthetic. If I, can touch it, feel it, see it, do it, all of those things, like I need to be immersed in the experience, and that's how I learn best. But that's kind of a shortcut you can take so that the material really sticks with you. Like let's say you're an auditory learner and you're just reading, information from a book. It's not going to stick with you just because that's not how you best retain information and how, you best learn, how you're most engaged in the learning process. Step number 2, you're going to want to set a date for your exam. As daunting as that may be, it's like the guillotine coming down, we're setting the date. But then that way you can narrow your studies and your focus on your studies a little bit more. Try to set a date that works best for you with your schedule so you won't be super overwhelmed the week of the test. That's exactly what I'm doing. You want to make sure you also create a study schedule. Okay, having a date will definitely help you get organized, will definitely help you set up the study schedule. If you're working like I am, I know some people wake up early in the morning to study. I am not an early bird, so I don't do that by any, means. But if I have time on my lunch break, I'll study during that. Or, I'll come home, decompress a little bit from work, study then. If I'm out with my boyfriend, we're riding around, I'll do, something, I'll read something or, take little quizzes on an app or something like that. So really just trying to get the studying in where you can fit it in. Okay, because balance is super, super important. And also, take practice assessments. This has really helped me because again, it's so much material. But if you take practice assessments for each subject, you can see, okay, well, for example, for the A&P, I'm very good with the urinary system and the reproductive system, but I struggle with the cardiovascular system and the endocrine system, or whatever it is. Or I'm good with the English, but I study with the math and the reading. So that way, you can kind of narrow down again, what you need to be focusing on. Again, still try and brush up on everything, but you can put more hardcore focus on the things that you struggled with based on your results from the practice assessments that you take. Next, you don't need to buy all of the things. This is definitely a lesson for me. I think part of it is my anxiety, but you don't need to buy all of the things. It's so overwhelming. And then you have all of these tools and resources, but some of them contradict each other. You don't know where to begin, or you're on one subject and you're going through 3, 4, 5 different books and PDFs and all of these things. Try and stick to 2 or 3 resources. I wouldn't say just sticking with one, as you may miss something. Kind of like that game of telephone. It starts out one way and ends up another. Somebody may have other input for you, or a little bit deeper level of detail, or the style matches better for you with how you best learn. But yeah, I'd stick to 1 to 2 resources, or excuse me, 2 to 3 resources, definitely not 1. Next thing to figure out is how does your school do the T's? Do you have to take it online? Do you have to take it in person? Do you have a choice? How many times will the school allow you to take the exam? Some schools only allow you to take the exam twice in a year, twice in several years. Some you can take it as many times as you want, but they'll only take your first attempt score. So maybe meeting with an advisor, looking at your program requirements, especially when it comes to the T's, to make sure you're not missing anything, and you don't want to be taking 3 and 4 exams if you can only take 2 in a semester or in a calendar year. Okay. So we already talked about meeting with your advisor, but look for tutoring opportunities or study groups. There are several Facebook groups out there. Some are better than others. I've been a part of some of them for 2 years now. They have their ebbs and flows, but you have the support there from students who are going through the same kind of thing. There's files, in there that you can check out. People talk about what the test was like for them, learning strategies, what worked for others, what didn't work for them. But don't take what works for one person as, they got a 95 on their exam and, okay, this is what I have to do. Everyone is different. So what works for them may not work best for you. You can also get on things like Discord. I'm trying to think what else. There's social media influencers that do offer tutoring, flashcards, PDFs, all of these kinds of things. Next, you want to make sure you talk to current nursing students, if you know any, or if you're on campus and happen to see them in their scrubs and their uniforms, to ask them what their experience was like. Where I work, literally almost everyone is trying to get into nursing school. So, some are already in, some are like me, they're right at the edge of applying. Some are just starting their journey, but it was great to get some information and some feedback for them on what worked for them and what didn't, what the test was like, especially if you're applying to the same school that they currently go to. So let's talk about what everyone really wanted to watch this video for, and that is resources. So the T's is 4 subjects. So you have your reading first, then you have math, then I think you can take a 10-minute bathroom break. I've heard conflicting things on that. And then you have your science, and then English is what you finish with. So the T's, I'm going to be taking T6. T7 will be coming out in June. That is going to be a little bit different. I have heard that there will be more chemistry, more biology, and more SATA questions. SATA meaning select all that apply. But I mean, the information, the core information is going to be the same, I believe. It's just maybe the way they're wording the questions. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that the NCLEX is changing in a year or 2. So just be aware of that. Now, as far as resources go, again, Facebook groups, huge help. I've collected so many resources over the last 2 years from Facebook groups, like the Kelly files, the Elizabeth Tran files. If you can get your hands on those, I've heard wonderful things about them consistently. Again, we talked about Discord. There's Kahoots and Quizlets, which I will say be careful with, as I've come across a couple wrong, answers on those when I've looked at them. So just be mindful if you're going to go the Kahoot or Quizlet route. But for me, I do find them entertaining, you know, to make learning more fun. So just be mindful that not all of the information in there may be 110% correct. Okay, there's Etsy. There's so many nurses, pre-nursing students who are selling, you know, PDFs on Etsy of their notes for the T's or fun little study guides that they've made. Beautiful Nursing is one. The Nurse Sam, she's on Instagram. CC Study Guides, she has a few things here and there that pertain to the T's, but not 100%. But there's so many out there if you look for them. The next are, you know, pretty standard. So you have the ATI Secrets from Mometrix. I don't have the physical copy. It's that big yellow and black book I'm sure you've seen all over YouTube. I do have the PDF version of that. It does go into a lot of depth. Sometimes I think more than maybe what you would need to know for the exam, at least from what I've heard. Again, I have not taken the exam yet myself. I'll be taking it in a couple of weeks. But again, it's one of my 3 resources. Then you have this baby, which I absolutely love, the ATI T6 Full Study Guide from Smart Edition, okay? So there is a online learning module program with this that I purchased. The book, you know, it's in depth, but it's not overwhelming. I don't know how well you can see if you follow me on Instagram. I'm sure that you've seen this book, you know, or watch my YouTube videos that you've seen this book floating around. But I think it's very well organized and straight and to the point. Some people say it's a little too simple, but I like simple. It's a good learning point, a good launching pad. So really enjoying this. They have a bunch of free quizzes as well. And then also you have ATI, who of course are the makers of the T's. So this is their study manual. It's okay. There's a lot of practice questions in here. It kind of goes over everything that will be on the exam and what you need to know, but I wouldn't say to use this as your only resource. It's not super in depth, but it is a good starting point, okay? Definitely a good starting point. They also have, which I just signed up for, from ATI. You know, ATI makes the T's, so atitesting.com. It's their Smart Prep. So I have practice exams B and C, as well as the online A and P practice exam. And then I purchased their tutorials for all of their modules. So basically what I'm doing in there is going through, you know, taking the practice assessments, and then it'll populate afterwards, after your score, it'll populate and say, okay, you need to look at these sections. So for me, I had cardiovascular, endocrine, and then I'm like chemistry, which I haven't taken chemistry in a very long time. So, you know, that makes sense. So, okay, I know for science, those are the areas I need to work on. So definitely a great resource. Note to self though, use that on your computer. It's not very great or user friendly on, you can't use it on the phone at all, but on a tablet, it's not very user friendly. You're gonna miss a lot. So definitely use your laptop or your computer at home for that. As far as apps go, so there's the T's Mastery app, which is wonderful. I did pay for the subscription for that. There's so many questions, and I just feel like it was a little bit better than the nursing school app, which is the pink and white one. The T's Mastery, I think, is like orange and blue. But the nursing school one, I don't know. I've heard great things about it. In the beginning, until I got through all the free questions, I thought it was great too. But I just feel like the questions in the T's Mastery app seem more aligned with what I feel the actual T's would be like. And their question bank is very good. How they break down what you need to know in all the different sections, you know, depending on, you know, how you score on these quizzes is excellent. There's also Nurse Hub you can take a look at. That is an online platform. They have tons of practice questions. The Nurse Sam on Instagram, she has her T's Tuesdays, and I think Nurse Hub is sponsoring her, so a lot of her questions now come from Nurse Hub, but you can do some things on Nurse Hub for free. Alrighty. And then YouTube. the #1 resource. So YouTube, Science with Susanna is incredible, extremely detailed. I'm not sure, you know, she'll have like 17 videos on the endocrine system, but I'm like, do I just need to watch the overview or do I need to watch things in a little bit more detail? So still trying to figure that out. I've heard conflicting things, but maybe a practice exam, you know, if you're in a situation like that, can help you narrow down, okay, I'm okay with, you know, this part of the endocrine system, but not how it relates to the nervous system, things like that. Okay, Doctors Matt and Mike, wonderful videos. You have Teach Me A&P, wonderful videos. Crash Course, for a good base start, a good general overview, I would say they're good. Carolyn McAllister for reading in English is just, she's just amazing and wonderful. She's a Maryland native, I believe. So definitely check her out. She is going to redo videos for the T7 since things are changing. So she said she was going to be teaching classes the spring semester so she can record those videos as the T7 will be coming out in June of 2022. Nurse Chung, Nurse Sarah from Registered Nurse RN. She is incredible, wonderful. So many videos, such a wealth of knowledge, so sweet, so much information. If you haven't checked out her channel, make sure to subscribe and let her know I sent you. There's Shakara Lewis, who is wonderful as well. I hadn't been in school for a while. I needed to take the arithmetic placement test for, you know, placement for college math, of course, but also for the nursing program. I worked through her book in 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I don't really remember how long, but basically over the summer of 2020, and just absolutely fabulous. If you struggle with math, Jakara Lewis is wonderful. I've also heard great things about Brandon Kraft. He does do Facebook Live videos in his Facebook group, so make sure to check that out. I believe he also has a workbook as well. Jakara Lewis has a workbook too. I haven't done much with Brandon Kraft as I'm kind of focusing most on the science right now. I'll get to the English and reading and math a little later on this week. But I've heard great things about Brandon Kraft. There's also Amoeba Sisters, which is great for anything biology related. Super simple, super fun, cute videos to follow along. And then there's Professor Dave Explains. His videos are very good. Sometimes it's hard for me to follow him though and keep track, but you may like him, so be sure to check his channel out as well. So let's see here, #7 on my list. So practice tests. Take as many practice tests as you can. I have not taken any practice tests yet, just the assessments. I want to kind of get as much knowledge as I can under my belt right now. I think with my study plan is the week of the exam, I'll be doing a couple practice tests and see what I need to brush up on. But for right now, I'm kind of keeping that, you know, over here. We're just working on the assessments to see what I need to focus on at this point. Again, you can get those from ATI Testing, Nurse Hub. There's a bunch of free ones online too. Smart Edition has them as well. #8, you want to make sure you have a support system. Support systems are so important. Have a study buddy, a study partner, form a study group, the Facebook groups, Discord. There are a few young ladies, you know, that I'm in school with, taking classes with, that are getting ready to take the T's. You know, we supported each other through A&P, and now we're supporting each other with this. One of my coworkers, we're sharing resources back and forth for the T's as well. So, you know, sometimes things I may not even have mentioned here, you know, if you have a friend who's about to take the T's as well, share this video with them. And then if there's things that they know that I didn't mention here, share them with each other, or, you know, vice versa. And then #9, positive thinking and affirmations, okay? Staying as positive as you possibly can, staying as focused as you possibly can. Nursing school is more competitive than ever to get into. The world is hurting for nurses. Nurses are hurting in general, plus, you know, all of this COVID stuff going on. So allow yourself some grace, you know, some positive affirmations, you know, telling yourself that you can do it, that you're gonna kill it, that, you know this information like the back of your hand, you know, things like that. Maybe write some things out, a vision board, whatever it is. But that's more of the psychological and emotional component, the mental component to all of this as well. Because all of this information we're going to be using at some point, at least for the science. But that is all I have pretty much. Be sure to check out Nurse Mo from Straight A Nursing. She has a podcast called the Straight A Nursing Podcast. She did have, this was, I think, in the end of November, beginning of December, have a guest on her podcast who actually works at ATI and has worked at ATI for like 13 years or something like that. And she really breaks down the exam tips, things to study, things to look out for, answer some questions, FAQs, that kind of thing. So Nurse Mo from Straight A Nursing Podcast, the episode on the ATITs, okay? But thank you so much for watching. Please leave a link. Please leave a comment for me down below as to where you are in your preparation for the teas. How are things going for you? If you took the teas, how did it go for you? Support each other down in the comments. Give each other encouragement. It's so uber important, and be your own #1 best cheerleader. Take care, guys. See you on the next one.